Welcome to U.S. Defense Line Channel. Operations gain momentum in key eastern regions. Violence of the clashes between the two armies is increasing day by day. Ukrainian troops began to gain the upper hand in the most important lines of Donbass. Russia's Black Sea Fleet could at any moment become a target of the Ukrainian armed forces. Moscow lost hundreds of soldiers during the day again. Ukrainian defense units intercepted almost all Russian missiles. Again, Russia launched attacks on infrastructures to quell their defeat. In these attacks, the capital Kyiv and its surroundings were again targeted. Russian troops started missile attacks against infrastructures in and around Kyiv in the evening hours. It was reported that 31 missiles were fired with these attacks. However, 21 of these missiles were shot down by the Ukrainian defense units. This allowed more than half of the attacks to be wasted, and many areas were prevented from being damaged. Missiles that hit were matched to some infrastructures, and power outages occurred in many areas. However, repair work has been started for these infrastructures as well. After the completion of the repair work, the Russian missiles will be wasted and will cause costs for Russia. Every move of Moscow, which has suffered a lot of military and financial losses on the fronts, has now become more critical. Moreover, the intensity of the war continues to increase. Russian port city of Novorossiysk could become a target of the Ukrainian armed forces at any moment. This region is a region located on the Black Sea coast. But the critical feature of the region is that the Black Sea Fleet of the Soviet Navy is located in this regional port. In fact, the headquarters of Russia's Black Sea Fleet, located in Sevastopol in Crimea, has begun to move to this Novorossiysk region. It was also claimed that an attack was carried out with unmanned aerial vehicles against the region. Ukraine's ability to attack the Novorossiysk region will significantly reduce Russia's influence in the Black Sea. This leaves Russia with a new strategic challenge. At the same time, it was reported that attacks were carried out close to a large Russian military base in the port of Novorossiysk on the Black Sea coast of Russia. According to some senior officials, after Ukraine attacked the Russian military base in Sevastopol in recent months, Russia has shifted many of the underwater operations of the Black Sea Fleet to the Novorossiysk region. It is known that these ships are also very important in terms of providing logistics flow after the Crimean Kerch Bridge was seriously damaged. Moscow, which had serious shipping problems on land, started to provide supply flow by sea. In the event that these ships are also damaged, the logistics flow will almost completely stop. This will cause Russian soldiers at the front to not be able to reach the necessary military equipment and ammunition. As a result, it will be inevitable for these soldiers to suffer losses and face defeats. At the same time, Russia continues to suffer serious losses in the war. This time, it was reported that 410 Russian soldiers were neutralized during the day. He also lost 5 Russian armored combat vehicles, 5 artillery systems, and 2 tanks with accurate moves. It was reported that Russia suffered the heaviest losses at the Bakhmut, Avdiivka, and Lyman fronts. It is known that mutual attacks have been continuing on these fronts for a long time. Especially in these fronts, which are among the important regions on the Eastern Front, mutual conflicts have been going on for months. Although Russia has been trying to control for a long time, it cannot achieve what it wants and is blocked by Ukrainian troops. This causes the losses to increase even more. On the other hand, on the Donetsk and Luhansk fronts, which are the key regions on the Eastern Front, the severity of the mutual attacks is increasing day by day. It is known that Chechen and Wagner Group soldiers, especially on the Luhansk front, took part in order to support the Russian army and fought against the Ukrainian army. This situation led to an increase in the violence of the conflicts in the region. However, it is also seen that all these groups of soldiers are insufficient against the Ukrainian army, and they are looking for a place to escape by suffering serious losses. At the same time, fierce clashes broke out between the Ukrainian and Russian army in the most important defense line near the Lysychansk region on this front. According to the statements, a drone recorded the violent clash between the two armies near this area. According to the images shared, the Ukrainian forces tried to move the Russian border in the Luhansk region further east with the attack. This situation led to a fierce conflict between the two armies. In addition, the fact that the location of this region is the most important line defense located on the border of Donetsk and Luhansk makes the conflicts more critical. If the Ukrainian armed forces can provide an exit on this line, it will also approach the Lysychansk region. It was stated that tanks, artillery, armored vehicles, and various equipment were used in these mutual attacks. The Ukrainian armed forces continues to make several offensive attempts to break through the Russian army's defenses at the front. On the Donetsk front, the Ukrainian army is advancing step by step as a result of the mutual attacks. Moreover, it is known that the troops choose the regions where they can gain more strategic superiority and thus gain an advantage in more regions. In this way, many regions are taken back. In the retaken areas, more deployments began and the attack power increased even more. It has become much more difficult for the Russian army to be deployed at the front. Moreover, it is known that these fronts are of critical importance for Moscow. This puts pressure on the Russian soldiers fighting at the front, and these soldiers are forced to continue the war with more mistakes due to tension. As a result of the erroneous advances, the Russian soldiers in the region either surrender, suffer losses, or seek a place to escape. This makes their progress in the war even more critical. On the other hand, while military support for Ukraine continues, sanctions against Russia continue. This time, the Swiss Federal Council approved the new sanctions adopted by the European Union as part of the 8th sanctions package against Russia. According to the statements, the Federal Council took many measures within the scope of the 8th sanction package to be implemented for Russia. These sanctions will cause Moscow to experience serious economic difficulties. Moreover, it was reported that these measures included the prohibition of providing many companies of Russia with opportunities in various fields and taking part in the boards of directors of these companies. At the same time, in addition to the measures in the 8th European Union sanctions package, the Federal Council has also added an embargo on arms supplies directly to Russia in relation to the situations in Ukraine. These sanctions came into effect in the evening. All these sanctions will cause Russia, which is already suffering from serious military and financial difficulties, to face bigger problems. This may lead to the outbreak of confusion and major economic problems within the country. In these days when the war has entered the most critical times, all kinds of developments in the country and on the fronts will make the course of the war clear. At the same time, the decisions of the country's leaders will determine the fate of the soldiers on the fronts. Now the steps to be taken by the two countries have become very critical. For this, every move must be carried out in line with strategic goals. Otherwise, success will not be possible. It is seen that the Ukrainian troops have gained a serious advantage, especially in the last days, and have shown their struggle on the fronts to the whole world. If successful operations continue, Ukrainian troops will have serious advantages on many fronts and will continue to dominate in many regions. In the following processes, we will see more clearly how the war will take shape and what kind of decisions will be made about the war. We'll see what happens in the next few days. We have reached the end of another video. You can support us by liking the video. You can easily follow new videos by subscribing. I wish you all a war-free day. See you.